Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Zooty Pickups. In today's video, we'll be talking about the Uniqlo Blocktech Fishtail Parka. So this is a jacket that retailed for $130. If you think about it, $130 is a little bit much for a lot of Uniqlo things. However, considering what you're getting, it's a waterproof, breathable outerwear garment. I think $130 is a pretty reasonable asking price. What you're getting here essentially is a super modern, kind of like techie version of the classic M51 Fishtail Parka. A little bit of background, I guess. The M51 Fishtail Parka was a overcoat issued to US troops during the Korean War in 1951, hence the 51 moniker. Because of the fact that it was an overcoat, it was like super baggy and oversized. And ever since then, it's kind of become somewhat of a fashion icon. And there's been a bunch of iterations of the jacket since then. And this version of the jacket, Uniqlo has updated it with a bunch of new techie features. The highlight being the Blocktech lining here. So essentially what Blocktech is, it's Uniqlo's version of gore-tex. It's a waterproof, breathable membrane. And while I have a bunch of other jackets with gore-tex, so this is Arc'teryx Leaf Alpha LT with gore-tex Pro. This is a Cold Smoke Nanook jacket with Event. Like these jackets, I feel like are way too technical looking and maybe a little too like tactical looking at the same time. It's not the type of jacket that you're really able to be stylish in. I mean, they're great performing jackets, but I wanted something a little more kind of like urban and something that I could wear just in the city more without, you know, looking like I was gonna go climb a mountain. So I decided to pick this up. And yeah, let's talk a little bit about all the little details on the jacket first, and then I'll talk about the performance, how that Blocktech works, and eventually talk about the fit. So let's get right into it. So I'm gonna just start off at the top and go from there. So at the very top of the jacket, we have this massive oversized hood. And as I mentioned earlier, this is patterned after the M51 Fishtail Parka, which was a military overcoat. And because it was a military overcoat, it was meant to be worn, the hood, I mean, was meant to be worn over a helmet. And because of that, the hood is massive, and it looks like Uniqlo kind of recreated that pretty faithfully, which is, I guess, fine, but I don't think anyone's really going to be wearing a helmet with this jacket, so it would have been nice if they shrunk down the hood a little bit, just for more practical purposes. But I mean, it's not much of a deal breaker. You'll see when I put it on at the end of the video, and I'll show you how just big the hood is, but it is quite big, just so you guys know. Moving to the side of the hood, you have these drawstrings to adjust the size of the hood a little bit, and these little leather toggles at the end of the drawstring. I think these leather toggles are a nice touch and add a little bit of flair. Moving to the front flap, you can see the front flap is closed via these two snap buttons, and the zippers kind of terminate here at the chin. Now, a lot of these types of jackets, the zippers do go up all the way to the top, to the nose. And the problem with that is that if it gets super cold, that cold metal zipper, it gets kind of annoying when it touches your skin, like your lips and your nose. These are sensitive areas. So this flap design with the snaps kind of prevents that. So the inside of your face is just touching this fabric. However, the trade-off is, you know, it's one extra step. Instead of just zipping up, you have to zip up and then you have to snap up. But once everything's said and done, this just feels better on your face. So I think I'm a fan of this design. Hang this back up. So now moving to the front face of the jacket, you can see that there is two closure methods. You can just use the zipper, or you can use the snaps. There are 5 snaps total on the front face of the jacket, or obviously you can use both. The zipper extends pretty much about to the waistline, and the snaps just go down a little further, but you can't actually snap the jacket all the way to the bottom because there's nothing here at the bottom. So even if you close everything, you're just gonna have a little bit of billowing down here, but I think that is, you know, part of the characteristic of the jacket. It's supposed to be a very billowy type of oversized jacket. One, I guess, main design feature on the front are these inward facing pockets, and pocket flaps. So this is kind of like an iconic feature of the M51. All M51s have this kind of like hand warmer pocket, I guess. And on here, so these are opened and closed via the snap closures. You can see that there's a cool little feature here. There is a internal pocket weatherproofing flap. So when, you know, there's a bunch of water coming down from the top and it kind of drips down into this area, this flap prevents the water from getting inside the pockets and getting the stuff inside your pockets wet. So this flap is really nice. It's great attention to detail, and you can see the person who designed this actually thought through all the things to actually make this jacket super waterproof. So yeah, I dig that. That's really cool. Moving on to the arm, you can see the back of the arm is pleated. It gives that sleeve this kind of like ergonomic shape. It bends the sleeve forward a little bit. And because of that, it looks really cool, fits great, and also kind of gives off that articulated Techwear type vibe. So I think that was super cool. Nice little touch there. My favorite feature, however, has got to be these sleeves. These sleeves are pretty awesome. So usually when you have a military type jacket like this, they have two buttons. You got the button on the kind of like closed size, and then you have the default size button for the open size of the sleeve. This, however, only has the button for the closed size and no button on the open size, and that's because this the strap that the button goes into is elasticized. So you can see this black kind of like elastic strap right there, and because of that elastic, it lets the closed size be way smaller than most other jackets. So when it is in the closed position, the wrist hole opening is extremely small, which is great. I think jackets with like huge wrist openings just kind of look bad. This is good in terms of aesthetic and also functionality, because you don't have like, you know, cold air and water getting in through there and through the wrist. So, you know, this is a great feature, and the elasticity in the cuff also increases comfort. So I think this is like a great little modern update that they gave to the jacket right here, the cuffs. So turning the jacket around to the other side. Boop. You can see the back panel is basically consisted of, you know, a big left panel and a right panel, and a waist cord kind of going through the middle here. Apart from that, nothing really special. We have to obviously talk about the fishtail itself. This is a fishtail jacket, so it has a fishtail split at the very end. However, it doesn't have that little cord that authentic M51 fishtails have that come out of the end here. So the split seam here on the butt of the jacket has kind of become an iconic feature of fishtail jackets. A lot of people, I think, don't realize what they were originally for. They weren't just there, you know, to look cool. Like I mentioned earlier, this jacket doesn't have the little string here, but you were supposed to use the string, you know, wrap it around your legs, you know, pull the jacket like under and basically wrap around your butt and tie the string, you know, to the front of the jacket. So the jacket would kind of like, you know, scoop up from behind your butt, wrap around your left and right legs, hence the split, and keep you warm from like drafts coming in from behind. So it was essentially like, you know, something to keep your butt warm. But it's kind of funny because now these days the split has turned into an iconic feature of the M51. So yeah, cool little bit of background there. I thought I'd share that. So now moving to the interior of the jacket, you can see it is fully lined with Uniqlo's Blocktech material and is fully tape seamed. Basically what that means is all the seams have this waterproof taping over them. And that's important because if you're working with waterproof material and you're putting two panels together, you're essentially sewing them together, right? So you're putting thousands of little needle holes through these panels, and you're basically defeating the waterproofing. The water is going to get through those thousands of holes. So so seam taping is where you just tape over those seams and make sure those areas don't compromise the integrity of the waterproofing of the garment. And as you can see, they've done a great job. They've pretty much taped all the seams on the jacket. I can't really see any exterior seams that aren't taped. These seams are interior seams, so these don't need to be taped. And yeah, and finally you have the internal drawstring, that drawstring that you saw from the back. You can see it being routed here, and terminating here at the front so you can cinch down your waist if you want to. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers all the features and details of the jacket. Let's talk about the actual performance now, the weatherproofing, how Blocktech performs. So a lot of these tests I see, people just like splash some water on their jackets and see the water bead off and they're like, oh, you know, it's waterproof. I've found that that's not a very accurate representation of the waterproofness of the jacket. You're just testing the DWR coating on the face fabric, which makes the water bead off. From my experience, the DWR, you know, it eventually just wears off within a couple of months, maybe within a year, just due to regular wear, just like the abrasion that the garment gets on itself when you're wearing it, the abrasion the garment gets from sitting in chairs, cars, rubbing up against stuff. It eventually wears off, and the face fabric starts to get wet when it starts to rain or when it's exposed to moisture. So the best way to test the waterproofness of the internal membrane is to defeat the DWR and get the water through the face fabric so it actually touches the membrane. So what I did was essentially I put a paper towel on the inside of the jacket, and then I ran water on the exterior of the jacket, and I just rubbed the water in for a good 3 to 4 minutes, made sure the DWR was compromised and the face fabric was getting wet. And as you can see, you know, the face fabric got soaking wet after the first minute or two. So you can tell that the water is definitely hitting the membrane. And surprisingly enough, after the 3-4 minutes of rubbing the running water on this jacket, the paper towel came out bone dry. So the Blocktech material does work in terms of waterproofing. It works like a dream, you know, you can't really complain. Pretty much 100% waterproofing. However, that being said, you know, that is not really the difficult part here. I can go to the dollar store and get a poncho there that pretty much does the same thing. Waterproofing, you know, it's not that difficult. The difficult part is to get that fabric breathable at the same time. And that's why these you know, big dollar gore-tex jackets are so expensive, because you know, you get that waterproofing and breathability at the same time. So does the Uniqlo Blocktech Parka deliver in that regard? So, you know, being the dedicated reviewer I am, I put this parka on. I did like 50 squats, did like 50 push-ups, and ran up and down the stairs a couple of times, worked up a good sweat, and just like sat in it to see how fast that perspiration kind of was able to evaporate. And I gotta say, like, it works pretty well. I mean, it's not on the level of Gore-Tex. It took a little longer, but when I was sitting there after I was sweating, after I worked up that sweat, it didn't feel like I was wearing like a plastic bag over my body. Because it kind of feels like a plastic bag. I was kind of worried that it would feel really clammy in there. Initially, it did feel a little clammy, but I was able to feel the perspiration start to evaporate. And within a couple of minutes, I was at kind of like a comfortable level where it didn't feel super gross in there. So I think one thing I have to attribute to that also is that this is an extremely baggy fitting jacket. So a lot more air does come in from the bottom of the jacket, kind of ventilating the inside and kind of alleviating that microclimate a little bit. But that being said, you know, it did perform quite well. I mean, a couple of notches under Gore-Tex, but I think for the price, $130, that's pretty good, because I mean, compared to something like this is like a Gore-Tex jacket in the $400 something range. This is pretty much a fourth of the price, and I'd say like 75% of the performance. So I mean, that's a pretty good trade-off. So yeah, overall, I was pretty impressed with the performance aspect of this jacket. So finally, let's talk about the fit. So I'm gonna put this jacket on at the end of the video so you guys can see, but I gotta say the fit of this jacket is pretty oversized. I said it multiple times, this is a military overcoat. Well, it's inspired by a military overcoat, so they kind of took that sizing as well. So extremely big. You should definitely size down one size at least. I normally wear XL. I got this in a large. When I tried on the XL, it was just like huge. It looked like a poncho. So I had to size down to a large. I could even size down to a medium and it was fine, but the sleeves were getting a little short on medium, so I decided to opt for large. And it is a very billowy type oversized look. And I think that's fine because I think that's the entire point of the M51 fishtail, is to kind of have that kind of like oversized fit. So I'm pretty happy with the fit. I'm pretty happy that I can, you know, fit a lot of layers under it, and it's definitely not constricting. It's a super comfortable jacket in that regard. So in conclusion, this is a pretty sick jacket. It gets that vintage kind of like urban military look down and adds that little bit of Techwear element to it to give it a little bit of an edge. So I think in that regard, you know, it's a really versatile piece. You can wear it over a lot of things. And yeah, I mean, for the price, the performance is not too shabby at all. Obviously, you're not going to be in the same league as the Gore-Tex Pro jackets, the mountaineering jackets, but realistically, you know, when you're wearing this out in the city, you're not exactly going to be climbing Mount Everest or anything like that, so you don't need that much performance. You just need some protection from some light drizzles or some snow or whatever, and for that, this fits the bill perfectly. I think everyone will be pretty happy with the performance that this offers for this price point. So I'm going to throw this on so you guys can see what it looks like on body, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.